Welcome back to another Jazz basketball breakdown. Actually won a game. Good game tonight against the Hawks. This was kind of what I'm honestly hoping for the rest of the season, right? Is obviously love to see Lowry. He's the one guy I'd like to see pulled up, but I'd be okay with him get more playing time. But being able to see a lot of Keontae George, a lot of Bryce Sensabaugh, who we saw some good stuff from tonight, and even a little bit of a run with Jason Preston and stuff like that. Fun to see the young players actually play and develop.
First game that we started, all three rookies, I believe.
I
I
believe
believe. I
so.
believe. That's cool to see. But yeah, Bryce Sensabaugh. I mean, Keontae did some nice things. Taylor Hendricks showed some nice things as well. But Sensabaugh just seems like he's getting comfortable,
Yeah,
and he's doing it kind of. He's making these intricate dribbles and movements and strength and shrugging off contact, and he's doing it not outside of himself. He's
right.
not. He's not making it look like a Colin Sexton possession where he's just flying all over and or Taylor Horton Tucker and stuff. He's calm, and it's a skill set within himself, and not that's not normal. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, it seemed like the second half, especially that third quarter, man, it just felt like he could score whenever he felt like he was going to score. He could easily just take a strong dribble into the lane, body, and okay, you give me the layup. If not, I'll just kind of hesitate, body into you, turn, fade away. And it was just over and over again. It seemed like he could score 20 to 25 points in the quarter.
He's got he's got the ball handling skills and the awareness and the strength to create the space, like you said, create his own shot, which is teams pay multi-million-dollar contracts for somebody that can do that.
Yeah.
That's a huge skill in the league. Man, it just seems like he's getting comfortable. And the comment I think that I made to you is the game was kind of going along is, man, I can't wait to see these rookies after an off season.
Right.
Oh goodness, just some time to really focus on their bodies and become as you be a pro each year that goes along, you kind of become more intentional about things, right?
Right.
It's not just, oh well, whatever happens, you pick a couple of things and you really start to hammer down on them. And man, I'm excited. Like you said last show for summer league. I'm stoked for summer league.
Yeah.
I'm ready to buy some tickets.
It's gonna be fun. And the thing that's cool about him is he's not necessarily forcing shots, right? If the shot's not there, he moves the ball. If he drives and pulls a double team, he's not just forcing that double team and that pull up there. He moves the ball and looks for the shot within the offense and the good and the better shot. And so a lot of things you don't normally see from rookies, especially rookies who come in and their kind of skill set is being able to score the basketball, have an NBA ready jumper, and that's kind of what they do right now. That normally it's like, hey, go get some buckets. That's all we're really at. It's all we're really looking for out of you right now. But seeing him do more than that, he's shown a solid ability to rebound and then willingness to move the ball and facilitate a little bit as well has been really cool to see.
And in the past, usually the only type of players in the draft you would get at the end of the first round with that kind of an offensive skill set is there's got to be some real character issues, or it's a European player that we don't fully know about and
Yeah.
scouted in the past, right? Those kind of things have happened. Um, his situation was not character, right? It was with a whole lot of injuries and kind of the season fell apart with its college team. Um, but you know what? We'll see if that can really pan out. So to have somebody with that kind of skill set and what's looking like their first healthy season in the first part of the season, he was out right and
Yeah.
kind of ending a season healthy for the first time in years for a young player like that, man, that's interesting.
Give him a healthy offseason, get his body a little bit more in shape.
Yeah,
Those are things that are going to be huge for what we can do and what moves we can make in the offseason if he's going to be ready to step into that role.
he becomes the a sixth man scorer
Yeah,
off the bench, right? Somewhat of a liability on defense, not as much as some others.
right. And that's the thing is you can see there's moments where he just misreads it poorly,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that on the defensive side of the court. But overall, he's out there working his butt off on both sides of the court.
I wouldn't say that he makes. I wouldn't say that he has more defensive miscues than John Collins,
Right.
or even more than Jordan Clarkson. I mean, so he's in that range right there, and it's his first year as a pro. It'll be interesting to see how it all comes about. So the offensive signs are there and high level. And once again, wish we could give him 4 or 5 straight possessions and just let that guy cook and see what happens.
Well,
just
that
live
was the
with
one
it.
disappointing thing, right, about the fourth quarter is we just he never really didn't see the ball at all the entire fourth quarter, but he really didn't get in until the last little bit of the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was cool to see the development of Bryce Sensabaugh as each game has gone on, as he's been in the starting lineup.
And it'll be interesting these next couple of games too. We've got the Timberwolves coming in, a whole different defensive beast, right? Whole different defensive animal, and that'll be interesting to see some of those matchups. It was fun to see Taylor Hendricks back for the first time in a few games, and you commented, and it was noticeable that when he drives to the hoop, just his long strides and his strength in keeping the ball, and his moves are just like they're right on the cusp of becoming lethal and working. It's
right.
What a physical specimen.
Had a poor shooting night, but it's like you said, you can see it's there. You can see it's there, and I actually think we had mentioned, during the game, like, why isn't he subbed back in? I think he was actually on a minutes restriction.
Could be, yeah.
If I remember hearing right, he was on a minutes restriction going into the game, and so that could have been part of why he didn't come back in. But I mean, poor shooting night, but still makes a defensive impact. I mean, DeJounte Murray went through a super cold stretch in the second half with Taylor Hendricks as the primary defender on him, which we can take our 4.
That's what I was going to say.
To go guard their point guard, their star point guard on the court. That you can't do that most of the time, right? That was the one thing about losing Jared Vanderbilt, was his ability to guard 1 through 5. You find a guy like Taylor Hendricks, who is showing his ability to already do that, but has also shown an ability to actually score on the offensive end, and a good shooter at the very least. And it's, man, that's a home run, being able to hit that, with how much we loved what Jared Vanderbilt could do on the defensive side of the court.
Absolutely. Jared Vanderbilt had a little bit of a dribbling playmaker side to him, kind of an open court thing would be kind of the only thing we'd be missing there. But Hendricks has the shooting. Yeah, that was the point I was going to make, is the fact that we just said, okay, you're past all-star and borderline all-star guard playing the point guard. We're going to move our rookie 6'9", 7'1" wingspan, onto the point guard, says a lot.
And DeJounte Murray just kind of disappeared.
The first couple times he got by him just a little bit, and then Hendricks adjusted, started moving his feet a little bit better, and handled it, man. And that shows you the level of trust and kind of the upside and what the coaching staff wants to see out of him and what they think his level is. That says volumes.
Yeah. And then obviously, you mentioned Keontae a little bit. Dude, that guy is, every game seems to be getting better. And in a game like tonight, his three-pointer is not falling, and that's going to happen. And he got a little bit too in love with that, trying to get it back in the fourth quarter. But I loved our willingness to just the entire last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter say, Keontae George, this is your game. Go win or lose. The ball's in your hands. Figure it out. And Sexton obviously made some big plays, but being able to see that with Keontae, and then the second half, Keontae George, it was just like DeJounte Murray, who is a legit defender. Keontae was just getting past whoever they put on him, and a lot of times DeJounte Murray, whenever he felt like it seemed like if he wanted to go get a layup, he was going to go get a layup.
And the one smooth kind of Euro step through mid-drive that
Fernando.
That shook. It was DeJounte Murray on him first, and then he went at Fernando a couple of times after that too. Yeah, it's
you're talking about kind of like on the
where he's driving through and then kind of steps
on the fast break.
Yeah, and then steps through, and it was clean, man, and created the space, and kind of you can kind of see the looks on players' faces without them going, oh, but it's just like the space all of a sudden opens up, and it's like, ooh, Ooh.
You see Fernando. I mean, you mentioned it, Fernando started extra kind of shoving Keontae and stuff like that when he'd go past him, and you could tell it was like this damn rookie make me look like a moron.
Is hunting me.
Yeah,
He's seeking me out.
and that was the thing is Keontae was searching normally your rookie point guard doesn't go searching mismatches and then dominate them. And he was searching for whatever mismatch he decided he wanted to go after, and then he did whatever he decided he wanted to do. If he was going to drive and kick, or whatever. And end of the game, we should have finished it earlier on that last possession. He kind of in and out, drives wide, brings both guys and lobs it to John Collins, and John Collins is just kind of lazily walking up there, and so the ball ends up getting tipped out of bounds. And it's like, if John Collins is any bit ready for a pass from his point guard, it was such an easy bucket. Like you said, at worst, it was a foul.
Right.
He would have caught it and got fouled. And so, and I loved him showing the leadership there as he immediately pulls Collins aside, and it's like, you got to be ready. You got to be ready for that. When I throw that to you, and I pull them both to me, and Collins responded like you would expect him to respond to a leader.
Right. In a high-level play, and basically in the crunch time, and that would have been close to the nail in the coffin, right? It would have put us up.
Would have put us up four. It would have put us up 4 with like 15 seconds.
Right. And I mean, that's the kind of play that would have, the crowd would have gone crazy, to kind of draw both defenders, throw it up for an alley-oop dunk. That's high level. As you mentioned, the leadership. So you can see that there are moments that this young point guard, it kind of has the look of a predator, right? He doesn't look like he's deer in the headlights and we'll see what happens. He's getting intentional. He's seeking out things. His learning curve is way ahead of what it should be. They showed the stat as far as points per game since the All-Star break.
And he is tied for second.
With him and Brandon Miller. And this kind of aligned with the conversation that I know that Tony Jones has put it out there and some others as far as if there was a redraft right now.
We've even put it out there.
Yeah, we put it out there. But those names that were on that list as far as Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Keontae George tied for second, and then Chet Holmgren, if you consider him, rookie, but he wasn't in that draft class, was just like half of a point behind that. That's kind of the list.
Yeah.
That's kind of the list, right? So, not bad, number 16.
Dude, no kidding. And you can see, I mentioned to you in the game, you can see Markkanen is more and more understanding that this is the dude that is going to be. This is my running mate, right? This is a guy I need to be working with, and you can start seeing a little bit more. There's a little bit more kind of joking around with them during timeouts and during like pregame stuff, and then he subs in and Lowry kind of turns. He's like, Key, and they chat for a second. And he kind of like points and he kind of chuckles and like, yeah, and then Keontae kind of chuckles, and so it's like you can see there's been a shift, a little bit of a shift in the mindset of Markkanen and understanding like, yeah, I'm the number one on this team right now. Keontae is the 1A, 1B, whatever he ends up being. But that's your 2 cornerstones. You figure everything else out. That's your 2 cornerstones you build around.
The way they're talking back and forth, you can see that they're seeing each other more as equals.
Yes.
It was a dramatic shift since, the rookies first arrived there in camp and all that stuff. So hopefully they said that Markkanen practiced yesterday and today. Hopefully he's back maybe for these games here over the weekend. I don't know if what's going to happen, but the Timberwolves going to be a tough draw.
May have held him out tonight to play him tomorrow.
Could be.
That's fair. Super possible. But yeah, like I said, I love that we're kind of holding some guys out, and even as much as I've been loving Chris Dunn, I love that we're holding some of the older vets out to allow the young players to play. I'm okay with playing Markkanen because that Markkanen Keontae George connection and that Markkanen and Taylor Hendricks kind of chemistry is going to be, I think, super important for if we are actually ready to start competing in a year or two.
And one thing that we talked about that I just kind of want to bring up is it's noticeable that, there's this whole thing of can Collins play with Kessler and what are the combinations with work that work. One thing that is noticeable is Taylor Hendricks works with all of them.
Yeah, there is no question.
He works with all of them.
Can he? It's more of a who do we feel like should be starting. Doesn't really matter because Taylor Hendricks and Larry Marketing can play with them.
Right. Very versatile, both of them. And I feel that Taylor Hendricks' shot will come along. Don't have to have the ball all the time. Absolutely, he works with all of them, so that's not an issue. But going forward, there is an issue with long term, more than a couple years out. What is the real answer on John Collins, Walker Kessler? We've talked about this briefly before, kind of tiptoeing around it, dancing around it.
What's the real answer just at our 5 position?
Are we, we have to kind of vocalize it. Is Kessler a long-term thing for 5 with this team?
Right, because he is a freaking shell of himself right now than what he was as the rookie last year. And so
they've got him going back to basically hustling. Hustle and grit. Just run around, hustle, run as much as you can, which is nice. It's a nice ability that he has to be able to run and move and be that agile and be able to do that. But that's kind of all they're having him do.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see that he really has lost confidence. You can see the coaches have kind of lost confidence in him. It's a super interesting timing for his career right now on what's going to happen with him with the Utah Jazz.
Absolutely, and we understand that he is an amazing rim protector. There's no denying that, right? We're not saying he's worthless, he's a poor player, but what is the answer long term for our 5 position? Is it Collins? Is it Kessler? Is it neither?
Yeah, is it someone else?
Right, that's a real question. Hit us up on those comments. And that involves pain, right? That involves, because last year we were all in love with Walker Kessler in the offseason, talking about what is he going to evolve into and what are the next steps he's going to take.
Right.
And that doesn't mean we're giving up on him, but some people call it a sophomore slump, and they like to make excuses why, well, this is fine and it's normal. Yeah, it's normal. It's okay to be able to try and forecast the next steps in development of a player and try and understand why they're maybe off that pace.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. And that's I think the biggest thing that's going to be telling is, one, what they do in the offseason with our 5 position, if they bring in a rookie or another player or anything like that, but then 2, to see what kind of work Kessler kind of puts in away from Team USA.
Right. Right.
As far away from Steve Kerr as possible.
If Steve Kerr tries to show up at that gym, I'm going to kick his ass.
No, it's concerning, honestly.
Sure.
That we have no idea what's happening there, right? Because you have an idea. We are pretty confident Keontae George is the point guard of the future, right? You're pretty confident that Markkanen is the 3/4 of the time being, and Taylor Hendricks the 3/4. Those kind of intertwined together. And then Sensabaugh is showing his development stuff. Everything else is just kind of like, what's going to happen there? We didn't expect to have to ask that question with Walker Kessler.
No, not at all. We would have thought this was silly, several months ago discussing this. And this is a draft that has a lot of 6'9", 6'10", 6'11" guys up in that range that are very mobile and have some traits, that can shoot and can do some things, whether you're talking about, we talked about the kid from Marquette last show, and there's even kind of the Deron Holmes type out of Dayton. There are a lot of players kind of that ilk in this draft that aren't dominant lottery pick guys, but have a decent skill set that'll be there at the end of the first round.
Right. Where we have several picks, right? The end of the first round and then very beginning of the second round. And so I'm curious to see what we do in that situation with the questions that we obviously have, because I think it's pretty obvious that John Collins is not the future answer. But you need to figure it out with Walker Kessler quickly. Yeah,
and it could very well be that he, rounds the corner nicely and has a full kind of off season to prepare. That would be a normal off season, which if you kind of count last year's Team USA stuff and the year before that he was in the draft, he really hasn't had an off season yet.
Right.
You could kind of put some of that stuff together, but I guess the biggest sign for me is that there was a little bit of a stretch in the start of the season where you could tell that Walker Kessler had worked on some things to offensively at least look at the basket, and we've completely
And
abandoned
now
that.
it's yeah,
We've
he
abandoned it.
he had a move tonight where he kind of catches it, spins a little bit, looked a little bit, and then was just like nah, and he threw it out to Micah Potter,
Yeah.
and Potter ends up hitting a three. But it's not even trying things anymore.
You can tell that we've gone away from the game plan that we came into the season with for him. And I understand you can change those plans, but we've abandoned it. So that's telling.
No, I would agree. I'd agree 100%. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. When he does play, he's going to be playing against Gobert. That's a tough freaking any sort of matchup if he wants to try anything offensively. And then I want to see how Keontae does now that he's gotten more confidence and stuff like that with a rim protector like Gobert.
True.
And if his shot's not falling. So I think tomorrow's going to be a super fun game. Mike Conley's return to Utah.
Loved Mike Conley, and he's signed another kind of multi-year deal with them that paid him beyond what people thought he would. Good for him, man. What a great dude.
Been an awesome situation for him, unfortunately for us. But hopefully we see some Larry Markin. But I'm enjoying these last games. I'm enjoying these games with the young guys and
starting all three rookies.
Seeing some serious freaking development, even if Markin is back.
That's true. We'd have to take out Sensabaugh and bring Markin back, huh?
We'll just throw Sensabaugh at the 2. We'll bring Sexton off the bench. I'd be okay with it.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, let us know what you guys thought of the game. Let us know what you guys think of kind of what the answer may be at the 5 position with Kessler and anyone from the draft. Your thoughts on all that. It's kind of things we're bouncing off right now of what to do. So we want to hear your thoughts, and overall, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Timberwolves. Thanks, guys.